The Management Prize went to a team of 3 scientists from the University of Catania, Italy. That's in Sicily, as you may know. They won for demonstrating mathematically that organizations will become more efficient if they promote people and I'm writing about this stuff. I do a newspaper column every week, and I just finished writing about this, and I did some research to see, did no one try to do this, simulations earlier? And it turns out a few people did. Found much the same thing and were so frightened of it, they pretended they hadn't. This is what the winning prize, winning paper is called, the Peter Principle Revisited. And what they did was just take the Peter Principle, which I'm sure everybody who comes to Woodstock knows well, and they just did a simple model of it. And here they are at the ceremony getting their prizes. And finally, the Ig Nobel Biology Prize was awarded to a large team from China and to Gareth Jones from the UK for scientifically documenting fellatio in fruit bats. Here's the paper called Fellatio by Fruit Bats Prolongs Population Time. Is anyone here having difficulty with any of these technical words? And here's Gareth Jones at the ceremony, where he decided it would be a good idea to bring puppets, hand puppets. And he brought several pairs of these, and he handed them out to several of the Nobel Prize winners there, who also thought it was a delightful thing to demonstrate to each other how this probably works. And here at the end of the ceremony are all the winners and the scientists and opera singers, everybody gathered for a pointless photo opportunity. 6 days after the Ig Nobel ceremony, there was some news which we at least thought was quite wonderful. And you probably already know what this is. This is Boing Boing's report about it, and this was an especially clear, simple headline. Scientist wins both Ig Nobel and Nobel Prizes. Andre Geim, who's at the University of Manchester, England. 10 years ago, we gave him and a colleague an Ig Nobel Prize in physics because they used magnets to levitate a frog. This year, the Nobel Committee gave Andre Geim and a different scientist a Nobel Prize for something different, for graphing, which I'm sure all of you have been experimenting with your pencils and your Scotch tape. And it's totally good news. It happened all over. This was taken about 7 years ago. We do a bunch of tours, especially a big tour in England for National Science Week there every spring. And a couple of times Andre's been part of the tour. So here he is giving a lecture about how they levitate frogs. As you can see, he's a rather animated character. And just very, very briefly, I'll show you some of the other things that happened in the ceremony. We always include a date in the Nobel laureate contest. Each of the 1,200 people who buys a ticket has a chance to win a date with one of the Nobel laureates. This is what that contest looks like. It's Bill Lipscomb, who's 91 years old. And quite a prize, I tell you. We also write an opera every year about our theme. Our theme was bacteria this year, and this was the bacterial opera. It was all about the bacteria that live on a woman's front tooth, and about that woman. So the woman had the only non-singing role. She spent most of the opera asleep on stage with her mouth open. And everything went bad at the end when she woke up and decided to stretch and then brush her teeth and floss and use mouthwash, which was a rather unpleasant affair for the bacteria. There are many other things that happened in the ceremony which are too complicated to describe. You can probably guess at what that might have been. And really quickly, some previous winners. This is the patent for Dr. Bodmer's bra. These are the technical drawings in the patent. You've seen this at work. And here you get to relive that memory. She now announced a month ago, these are now available for sale to the public. This is something we gave a prize to about 12 years ago. George and Charlotte Blonsky, then of New York, won this for a patent they got in 1965. This is what they describe as a device to assist women in giving birth. This device consists of a large round table and some machinery. When a woman is about ready to deliver her child, she lies on her back on the table. She's strapped down to the table, and then the table is rotated at high speed. Kees of the Netherlands won the Ig Nobel Biology Prize in 2003 for this paper. This is the first scientifically documented case of homosexual necrophilia in the mallard duck. And here's and he collected the victim, which is on display at the Natural History Museum, Rotterdam, where he is the curator. If you ever visit Rotterdam, he would love to show you the duck, I'm sure. And the last of the past winners I'll show you. In the year 2001, we gave a prize jointly to an Australian man named John Keogh and to the Australian Patent Office, because in that year, in 2001, the Patent Office granted Mr. Keogh a patent for the wheel. That's the one and only technical drawing in it. And would you mind if I show you just a couple, very quickly, a couple other pieces of it? These are things we published in the magazine. You have probably heard, at least if you're American, this comparison we've done is not made so directly in other countries. Many countries have two other things they use in place of this. But you've heard many people complain that, oh, you're comparing apples and oranges. And what they seem to mean from their body language is you're comparing two things that are so different that they just couldn't and shouldn't be compared. Well, Scott Sanford, who works for NASA, has a lot of very good equipment, and he knows how to use it properly. And as I'm sure you know or vaguely remember, if you take anything and you burn it and you analyze the color of the light, you can tell from those colors what chemicals are inside the thing that you burned. So he took a little bit of apple and a little bit of orange, burned both of them, and then analyzed the colors of the light. And he found that when you do a proper spectrographic comparison of apples and oranges, they're almost identical. We published this about 8 or 9 years ago. 3 scientists from Texas and New Mexico. This is Kansas. This is a pancake. And as you can see here, when you gather the data and compare them, you can see Kansas is much flatter. And the final thing that I brought to show you is this study that we published quite a long time ago called Feline Reactions to Bearded Men. The title is probably fairly self-explanatory. It says Feline Reactions to Bearded Men. This is what the research looked like. 200 cats were involved in this study. The research took 6 months altogether. And at the end of that time, the researchers concluded that basically cats are indifferent to photographs. Thank you very much.